Hi, I'm Ariel. You're watching She Wants the Diction, and today I'm going to be talking about Queer All Year. If you are a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. If you have been subscribed, what's up? Queer All Year is an idea that me and Lydia over at Home Story Books came up with. Now, if you're not familiar with Lydia, I highly suggest you go and check out her channel a little bit. She does these really critical discussion videos that I love, and also goes really in depth when it comes to queer literature. Ever since I found her through one of her videos about Vivek Shraya, she's just been really supportive of me and my channel, and has been a really good friend and just someone to talk to. So yeah, go and check her out. Love her to death. Really appreciate her. Anyways, so Queer All Year is this idea that we came up with together, which we kind of got into this discussion about how, queer lit and queerness is really only talked about, pretty much during Pride Month. It seems like people really only care about it during Pride Month. They only want to read queer books around that time, whatever. But the point being, the month ends and we're still here. We're still queer. We still exist. And I think for a lot of us, when it's not Pride Month, our queerness kind of gets erased. I'm going to use myself as an example here. I am a bi girl who is currently in a relationship with a straight man. So a lot of times I get read as straight by a lot of people. And that's bi erasure is, and a lot of times I don't even disclose that I am bi to people. I just let them read me as straight. Because it's not always safe to come out. It's not always, especially, I am living in a rather conservative place. So yeah, it really just depends on the person, whether I trust them or not. So although I'm very much out and outspoken about it on the internet, not so much in real life. So I tend to get erased and can feel like, my queerness doesn't get seen or acknowledged, and I'm not fully seen as who I am, a lot of the year. So hence this project where basically we pick 6 unread books and 6 books we have read and loved, about queerness by queer authors, just queer books. And then we talk about them. So we want to encourage anyone who wants to join in on this. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So for my read books, I'm going to start off with Sappho, a new translation by Barnard. This is one of the very first books that I read when I was first consciously starting to seek out queer literature. It was one of the only translations available at my library. One of the main names that gets thrown around as far as LGBTQ studies is Sappho, and that's because she was one of the original, lesbian poet, Lesbos, lesbian, Sappho, Sapphic, she's literally is the namer for this. She's the original, she's the OG, you know what I'm saying? So Sappho, classical Greek poet, lived on the Isle of Lesbos, writing love poems about women. And these are just kind of a lot of times were really short fragments, but I found a lot of them to be pretty affecting. And it's a lot of love poetry, and has this kind of sort of worshipful tone. I can still remember the day that I was reading it because it was 90 degrees, and for some reason I decided that I wanted to lay outside on a towel and get a tan. If this isn't my aesthetic, laying in my backyard, fucking sweating bullets, reading a book of gay poetry, literally, that I feel that just describes me to a fucking T. My second pick for a book I've read and loved is going to be Sculpt Yourself by Savy. Savy is an indie author. She's active in the booktube community. She is awesome. She has a lot of energy and is just really nice and friendly and welcoming to everyone. Just has a great positive energy to her videos. When I read her book, Sculpt Yourself, it's basically a new adult / contemporary that follows, these 3 different kind of college age women. So they're in their mid-20s, and they all fall on the LGBTQ spectrum differently. So what I loved about this book was its great commentary on body image and beauty. One of the things that really affected me was that each of the girls really had their own view on body image. And one of the things I realized while reading this book is that I tend to be more judgmental of people that seem to care a lot about their appearance, or spend a lot of time on their appearance and, you know, want to flaunt their appearance, when in reality that's just as bad as someone judging me if I want to wear a baggy hoodie and, you know, have my hair buzzed, or like it's the opposite standard where like I feel like hyper femininity is something that I judge a lot, because to me it reads as you're buying into the culture, like you're doing that stuff because you want to be seen as beautiful and accepted. And I don't know, so I do tend to be judgmental, and that book really made me realize that, I mean, that's not, you know, that's not right either. Like I knew that, but seeing it portrayed so vividly and like clearly that that's just another version of judging people, another version of telling women what they should and shouldn't do with their bodies, like that really affected me. And I think that a lot of people that read this could really get a lot out of it. So yeah, along with being queer, you know, by an own voices queer indie author, primarily a cast of women in this book, I would say I really fucking enjoyed it. So if you for some reason haven't heard of Savy and you're on booktube, what are you doing? Has like a little bit of a sci-fi element to it. So if you're into that, basically there's this pill that can kind of take away your weight, like make you lose weight, make you beautiful. So that's kind of explored these women's relationship to that pill. Okay, next we've got IRL by Tommy Pico. And this is one that I literally just read. It is a long-form epic poem. It's very stream of consciousness, follows a fictionalized version of the author called Teebs. So Tommy Pico is a queer, indigenous author, and in this poem he discusses everything from, you know, pop culture, social media, mental health, growing up on an Indian reservation, microaggressions that he experiences as a result of being Indian, gay dating, boys, men, his relationship to men, and art and writing, and just everything. And what I did was I listened to this poem being read as I followed along in the physical book, and let me just tell you, that was a great choice because I didn't miss out on any of the format, because he uses a lot of like text abbreviations and slang that would not really come across if you were just listening to him read it. But also he is a very expressive reader, and is really, his voice just comes through so strongly. Like he is a great voice. I think that is the strongest aspect of his work. Honestly, I just thought it was great. Literally, there's no excuse not to go and listen to this one. I happened to see that he had tweeted out a link to the audiobook on YouTube, so I will link to that. Literally, just go and listen to it. It's like an hour and 45 minutes long. I promise you, you will enjoy it. Okay, next we have My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. This is by Kabi Nagata. This is an autobiographical manga that follows the author as she is dealing with her mental health issues. So this includes depression, anxiety, an eating disorder. So she's struggling with all of these things. On top of this, she's trying to like reconcile her sexuality. She's never had sex before, so one of the main things in this book is that she sort of hires an escort so that she can try to get like some sexual experience, because she's been a virgin her entire life, and just basically documents all of her like awkward encounters that she has. One of the striking things about this manga is the monochromatic color scheme. So the primary color used is pink and varying shades of pink throughout, which I feel like is a choice that goes with the idea of being a lesbian and trying to figure out and navigate what that is, because pink is a color that's traditionally, you know, associated with femininity, female, you know, love, that sort of thing. So it's a very appropriate choice for this manga. And I think it could be really encouraging to young people that read it, because it can let people, you know, who wait until later in their life or haven't had a lot of sexual encounters in their life, maybe feel more normalized. A lot of people deal with mental health issues, so it's good to see people like openly discussing that. Also, the main thing that I feel like this manga talks about is sort of her finding her passion. She talks about how she literally went to a job interview and was asked what her passion was, and she answered honestly and just said drawing manga, and they're like, well, why aren't you doing that? And that really inspired her, basically gave her a kick in the ass to start, I guess, drawing and posting her own stuff. So she posted this manga originally to Pixiv, which is like a website for, you know, people who draw manga, etc. And I guess it got so much popularity that it ended up being picked up by a publisher. So yeah, I just feel like it's a story about like finding your passions, self-actualizing, overcoming these mental hurdles, and just really becoming the best version of yourself, even if it's awkward. Okay, next is gonna be Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. They're a non-binary trans author, and this fictional story follows a girl named Ada who has essentially many spirits inside of her that are kind of battling for control of her body. Throughout this book, I was really just like, I just wanted to hug this girl. I was rooting for her so hard because she had these voices, particular voice in her that would kind of, I don't want to say it was bad, but it would kind of tell her all the wrong things that she should do, and just was kind of like very destructive and impulsive. And I could really relate to that because this voice got her into a lot of situations with boys and bad relationships and sex that she really didn't want to be in. But at the same time, the voice was saying to her that, like, you need me, I'm your strength, I'm what protects you, like, you can't get rid of me. And I really just wanted to hug this girl because she reminded me so much of my younger self and just being fucking lost, like, just being lost. I don't know how else to describe it, like, I'm lost in love. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know how I can better put it than that, but this was just really raw. And if you're sensitive to sexual assault, I would really recommend proceeding with caution on this one. I really feel like this story is about her listening to these different voices inside of her and integrating them into one, like, sort of realizing that they're all her and it's not a choice between one or the other, that they're all part of her and assimilating into that whole. I really feel like this story was about wholeness, becoming whole, accepting yourself, and just kind of the ugly process that she had to go through to get there. All right, my final pick for books I have read is going to be She of the Mountains by Vivek Shraya. I really feel like this book has 3 parts. First, there are the drawings, and then there's the kind of retelling of Hindu mythology, and then there's a third part, which is the storyline about a queer boy and kind of his coming of age. So with the Hindu myth, I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about Hindu myth or even pretend that I really understood it, but I really felt like it was a beautiful story. I don't know if it was that she rewrote the myths to kind of fit her life and who she was, or if the myths happened to like fit in with her life. Like, I'm still not 100% sure which it was, just because like I said, I'm not familiar with Hindu mythology. But it really felt like either she was like seeing herself in her religion or her stories, or maybe she wasn't there but she wrote herself in. And either way, I just think that's absolutely beautiful. This is a book that I would really want to reread because I don't feel like I caught every single thing from a single read through. But yeah, I really don't think you need to know the myth to be able to see the beauty in this story. So yeah, that's it for my reads. Those are books that I've read and enjoyed some aspect of them that I thought was really, really good and wanted to share with you guys. So now I'm going to be moving on to my unreads. Now I'm going to move through these a bit more quickly than the first batch. First up, we've got Sister Outsider, Essays and Speeches by Audre Lorde. And Audre Lorde is an author that I've been meaning to get to, like, for a really, really long time. Like, she's very important, she's very well known. I just haven't really read anything that she's written, and she's basically the original, like, I'm not saying she was the only one or the first, but when you think of Black lesbian, like, your mind instantly goes to her. So yeah, I've been really needing to like read some of her stuff. And Unkindness of Ghost by River Solomon. I don't know much about this one other than River Solomon is a non-binary author, I believe, and this is a kind of like a sci-fi book set possibly in space on a ship. Don't really know exactly, but I do want to get to it. I've heard good things about it. Next, I've got Alien Echo by Mira Grant. For those of you that don't know, Mira Grant is kind of a pseudonym for Shauna McGuire, who I have read before and decently enjoyed. So the reason I want to read this one is because I'm a big fan of Alien, particularly the prequels, and this is kind of like a standalone, but set in the Alien universe that supposedly has lesbians in it. So obviously I'm all over that. Next is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This is really a classic. It's kind of a shame that I haven't either read or watched this at this point. I assume there's like a lesbian scene at some point, which I assume is like the main controversy of the film. So yeah, that's just kind of like way overdue for me. Then we got Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. I believe this is about a Puerto Rican lesbian who's kind of coming to terms with her identity in New York City. And yeah, that's really all I know about it. Other than also she has like a shaved head on the cover, which it's like an automatic win for me. And then finally I've got Love Surrogates by Genue, Revuelta, and Taneka Stotts. This is a webcomic involving androids, which those of you who have been on this channel for a minute may know that I have a thing for. So I'm really wanting to get to this because, you know, queer and androids, like, what could go wrong? And I found this comic through Queer Comics Database, which is an awesome place to go and search for queer comics. It's where I found a lot of things. So I will link to that if you guys are interested. Anyways, that's it for my Queer All Year video. I'm gonna link to Lydia's. Please go and watch hers as well. I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. And if you feel like doing this yourself, please, please, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.